anyone can build up their confidence by doing the work.
Anyone. You don't have to be born confident.
Prepare to win.
There's some real bangers
Yeah,
here,
there's some
Jim.
bangers. Prepare to win.
If you can imagine yourself there and imagine yourself succeeding, like what a powerful image it is to have in your brain. In your honest opinion, do you feel like Americans are becoming dumber?
I think we're becoming lazier. Material things are just things. They can take those things from you, but they can't take your knowledge. I couldn't change the fact that I was born into kind of a screwed up situation, but I could and did have the agency to change the way I responded to that situation. And rather than become the victim of it or let others determine who I would be and what I could do, I said, no, it's up to me. I can control my own destiny.
We talk about money, power, and love.
Yeah. So let's go to the love thing.
Let's go there.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Today's episode is presented by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app that allows you to bank, borrow, and invest your money in one place.
Today, we have a true Americana success story here with us in person, Jim Keys. From a 3-room house with no plumbing to running 2 Fortune 500 companies, 7-Eleven and Blockbuster, Jim's story is proof that education can truly transform a life.
And Jim isn't just a CEO, he's a lifelong learner and the author of Education is Freedom. His journey proves that curiosity and grit aren't just traits, they're superpowers that can be learned and that can rewrite any story.
Jim, welcome to Tiger Sisters.
Thank you.
Yay!
It's great to be with you. Rawr.
Rawr. He was waiting for that.
I was.
He was ready.
I
He
couldn't
was
wait.
ready to do that one. Jim, you've developed a life framework philosophy for a thriving and happy life.
Yes.
And it's built around what you call the 3 C's, which are change, confidence, and clarity. So can you walk us through all 3 C's and then tell us why they're so important?
Sure. I call it my gift. And,
Yeah.
You know, people say, oh, well, you're just lucky to be able to go from, a house with no running water to running 2 Fortune 500 companies. And I say, no. Well, were you smart? Well, no. I mean, not necessarily. I'm okay, but I don't think I'm a rocket scientist or anything. But what I have done is harness the power of learning in these 3 ways.
Mm-hmm.
The first is change. And the first 3 words that I wrote down in the book
Mm.
were that change equals opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, and then I stepped back and I looked at it and I went, oh, look at that acronym CEO. Right? And it is the role of the CEO to be able to embrace change because all commerce begins and ends. Something changes.
Mm-hmm.
So change really is opportunity. If you realize that there's nothing that we can do about what happens in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
When I took on the role of CEO of Blockbuster, it was to take it to digital streaming, to be able to embrace technology. I couldn't have predicted one of the largest economic meltdowns in the world with Lehman Brothers collapsing, et cetera. And my role, I had to embrace that change and pivot from transforming the company to now saving the company, taking it through a restructuring, selling it to Dish Network to give it a chance of success.
It's kind of like, it's quite a nuanced message that you're saying, is that there's 2 parts to it. It's like you have to be able to be almost like evolved enough to recognize that the world is what it is, right? Things will happen in the world all the time that you cannot control.
Exactly.
Right. So, but you need to be able to be okay with that. Like you cannot be stressed out and like freaking out all the time because of things that are happening around you. But then at the same time, you're saying you have this, I don't know, what do you call it? Like self-determination.
Yeah.
Right. You can
Agency.
determine your agency within what is happening around you.
You can control your own reaction to that change. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't change the fact that I was born into kind of a screwed up situation.
Yeah.
But I could and did have the agency to change the way I responded to that situation. And rather than become the victim of it or let others determine who I would be and what I could do, I said, no, it's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can control my own destiny.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the first C, change.
That's the first.
There's always change going on around you. You have to be okay with it. And then 2, you can always change yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
But there's a prerequisite to being able to change yourself.
Okay.
You have to have confidence.
Okay.
Right. And so that's where a lot of us fall down. We say, okay, I can do this. I'll embrace that change. It's not me. It's the environment. I've got this. No, maybe I don't. Because I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. That natural insecurity that we have too often as humans, or we're listening to other people. We're listening to others tell us that we're not good enough or not smart enough, and we believe it. As opposed to recognizing that we can do whatever we wish to do, because learning is the path to being able to accomplish virtually anything. A friend of mine named Harvey McKay, very famous author, wrote Swimming with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. And I said, Harvey, I'm writing this book and I've got a chapter on confidence. I can't just say, be confident.
Yeah.
Right? I have to say, here's some steps. You can learn to be confident.
Yeah.
And this is the big thing. People think you're either born confident or no, I'm just not. It's not true. And he said, well, okay, I'll give you my gift. He said, 3 words for being confident. I said, okay, simple as that. He said, yep. Prepare to win. I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared. What are you going to tell me? And he said, no, that's it. Those are the 3 words. Prepare to win. And I said, Harvey, that's kind of simple. And he said, but that's the point. The more prepared you are, the more confident you can be, and the better chance of winning you'll have. You think Tom Brady was born confident? No, he worked his butt off and prepared. And when he walks into that big game, he has reviewed game tapes and studied and prepared until he can walk on that field with absolute confidence. Not something he was born with, something he learned how to develop.
Yeah.
And then he can win.
Being prepared is one way you can take agency in your life, even if you're like, oh, I'm not confident. But if you have the determination to be more prepared than the other person, then you will become more confident.
Exactly. You want another analogy?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to use a sports hero and say, oh, they're confident. But when you're flying and you have turbulence, you ever wonder why the pilot is not nervous? You probably hope he's not nervous, right?
Lots of simulation time.
Exactly. I love that example only because it shows that you can train confidence. A pilot isn't naturally born that way. They learn how to be confident in the cockpit, and we can apply that same skill to virtually any situation we encounter.
I love that.
Yeah.
So like the way that you learn to be more confident and less fearful is that you have to be more prepared, and also you have to trick your brain into believing that you've been here before, even if you actually haven't been there before or in that situation.
Exactly. Let me change one thing though. We're not really tricking our brain. What we're doing is exercising something called neuroplasticity, because your brain is basically a series of electronic impulses that are working off a preset of patterns, some that we're prepackaged right out of the box. We come with, fear built in. But you can use neuroplasticity. I sound like a neuroscientist. I'm learning. But you can use that to truly reprogram your mind, not even just tricking it, but reprogramming it. So it establishes a new set of patterns. And if you apply this, think about applying this to relationships. I know you guys spend a lot of time on other stuff.
We talk about money, power, and love.
Yeah. So let's go to the love thing.
Let's go there.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
No, I mean, how often do you revert to the same patterns, the bad patterns in relationship?
Yeah.
And it causes turmoil and strife and anguish and heartache and fights or whatever, as opposed to learning to not react, but instead respond with your own agency. Not be pushed into a response by your partner, perhaps. And if you can do that, and hopefully if they can do that too, maybe that's the answer to a happy life, right? Easier said than done.
Yeah. Okay, so then to wrap up confidence, I feel like basically you're delivering us some good news and some bad news. So the bad news is it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of reps. It takes a lot of learning and commitment to build up your confidence. But the good news is that you're saying anyone can build up their confidence by going through the work, by doing the work.
Anyone. You don't have to be born confident.
Yeah. Prepare to win. Prepare to win. Maybe we'll adopt that too.
That's another quote. There's some real bangers here.
There's some bangers. Prepare to win.
I love that. It's also, I like it because the way that I interpret it is that in your mind's eye, you are seeing yourself winning
Exactly.
and you can feel the confidence. Like, if you can imagine yourself there and imagine yourself succeeding, like what a powerful image it is to have in your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so then tell us about the
third.
last C.
Yeah.
The third C, clarity. Why is that important for a thriving and happy life? Why is that the key?
Yeah, because simplicity is ultimately elegance. Da Vinci used to say there's elegance in simplicity. I think Coco Chanel said it better, probably. But it's so true because we complicate, and especially in this world of information, we complicate everything. But if you can break things down into simple terms, it's so much easier. And we have the ability to not be overly complicated, but instead break things down into simple terms by listening effectively. So it's inbound clarity, and then outbound clarity in how we communicate.
I've never thought of it that way, of like clarity almost being like a force field
Yeah.
for yourself.
Yeah.
Like protecting your goals and protecting your space from all the sort of like negative inputs that
Exactly.
you come across in day-to-day life.
Exactly. But it applies in so many elements of our life.
I
every single
believe that
day.
so deeply down to my core. I've been told I'm a very positive person, and I think like I do skew that way, like very naturally. But I think relentless positivity, like not toxic positivity, but relentless positivity is such a good way to live because it helps you focus on what you want to do.
Exactly.
And also like the world is already like so negative as it is that like if you can control your own positivity and how you see situations, it helps you keep on track.
Exactly. Well, and the difference, there's an important difference because you're right. There is this thing, toxic positivity. Well, you can fake positivity, but that can be very toxic because it's not genuine. It's not coming from within. It's not a result of you just blocking out all the noise and genuinely being happy, being positive. People have a tendency to think no one should be that happy. Right?
So Jim, to wrap us up, can you give us an explanation of how to use all 3 C's together?
So we got these 3 C's, right? And if you put it in a package, any one of them alone is pretty important, but it's really that combination of being able to embrace change, have the confidence to do something about it, and the clarity to then be able to execute on it. Because if you don't have that clarity, if you're not listening, you won't have the confidence. You won't see the change coming. So they all work together in this beautiful harmony that eliminates fear and gives you the confidence truly to accomplish anything you want to accomplish with the power of those 3 things.
So Jim, when you say education is freedom, which is the title of your book,
Yes.
what do you actually mean? And can you give us 3 reasons why education actually equals freedom?
Well, I can, and I'm going to take you back to my childhood experience growing up. My dad didn't know what to tell me. He had never made it past the 6th grade himself, and he knew though it wasn't about money because I remember saying, "Do you want me to go have a job and make money so we can put plumbing in the house?" And he said, "No, it's really not. It's material things are just things. They can take those things from you, but they can't take your knowledge." And that was his dream, to one day be able to experience other cultures around the world that were so different from his. And he wanted that for me. Now, he obviously never had a chance to do that because he was so tied to his job and his machine in the factory that he would never have that freedom. But that is the best definition of freedom that I took with me, that this idea of money's a great enabler, but it's really about being able to do whatever you want to do and wherever in the world and experience all that the world has to offer.
Freedom of time, freedom of choice, and of exploring opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I've been blessed to do that. I've been able to do business all over the world.
Yeah.
And I am just fascinated by other cultures. I've got a chapter in the book that you may have seen called Cultural Literacy. And I am very fortunate that even during college, I was able to get into another cultural experience in the UK, in this case. But it taught me the importance of cultural literacy and the importance of embracing people who are different, because I've learned so much from all of those people that I've been able to interact with over the years. But this ability to go anywhere in the world and to be comfortable with the people of any culture is really a blessing. And that's my definition of freedom.
I think the reason why, we were so excited to have you here and why your book resonated with us is because we very much ascribe to a lot of what you said. Like, it's just, we have never expressed it in a book the way you have yet.
Yeah, you will.
But like a phrase that we say all the time that has kind of become a catchphrase on Tiger Sisters is we say information is power, which is kind of a variant of education is freedom.
Absolutely.
It's more just like a distilled down into more like discrete packets of information, right? Because like if you don't have education, if you don't have information, you're not able to make informed decisions.
Exactly.
In your honest opinion, do you feel like Americans are becoming dumber?
Ouch.
Good question.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary. I'm going to give you a yes and a no.
Okay.
I think we're becoming lazier, but not dumber. Lazier in the sense that it's so easy to get access to information that perceptions have taken the place of perspective. Important difference. Perception is when you see something, take it at face value, don't engage your critical thinking, which is really what separates humans from all other species. And to be able to use that critical thinking to determine truth rather than take at face value something that you read or saw on the news.
Let's be honest, carrying high-interest credit card debt can feel impossible to get out from under. You make your payments, but the balance barely moves.
Thanks for today's sponsor, SoFi. They can help you finally take control.
With SoFi personal loans, you can consolidate all your credit card debt into one low fixed monthly payment. And there are no prepayment fees and no late fees.
Funding is fast. Get $5,000 to $100,000 as soon as the same day you sign, or SoFi can pay off your credit cards directly.
SoFi's already helped members pay off over $33 billion in debt, and it was named NerdWallet's best personal loan in 2025.
Check your rate without impacting your credit score with no commitment.
If you're ready to simplify your payments and save on interest, head to SoFi.com/Tiger.
Or click the link below to see how much you can save. That's SoFi.com/Tiger.
In this next section, Jim, I want to talk a little bit more about fear. Blockbuster's become a case study in many grad school programs of a company that saw change coming, but missed the boat. If you could rewrite that story, what would you do differently?
There were several things that I could have done if I had a crystal ball. This is the big difference because no one saw the financial crisis of 2008 happening. Blockbuster had $1 billion of debt going into that crisis and was virtually unable to refinance that debt, much of it due in 2009 when the banks were virtually shut down. So what would I have done? Step one, when I approached Blockbuster, it wasn't for a job. I had had quite a successful run at 7-Eleven after literally 20 years there and used technology very successfully to turn around that company. I wanted to accomplish the same thing for Blockbuster, and my intent was to take it private. So really what I was trying to do was partner with private equity, take Blockbuster private, do the transformation to digital as necessary, and then reemerge as a public company maybe 5 years later. That was the plan.
Hat trick.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. But the challenge was I ran into, I was out selling that program, and one of the investors called up Carl Icahn, one of the board members for Blockbuster. Carl convinced me to just join the company as CEO, not try to take it private. And his logic was, look, Jim, I'm the financial guy, you're the operator. Public-private, you've run a public company very successfully, you know how this works. We have confidence that you can do this in the public environment. Just join us as CEO, chairman and CEO, which I did. Now, in hindsight, had I refused and instead pressed on with taking it private, we would have refinanced 100% of that debt. It would not have come due in 2009. It would have come due in 2012, we would have sailed right through the financial crisis without a disruption. So, again, would I have done something differently? Absolutely. But did I have a crystal ball to know? No, I didn't, unfortunately.
Well, Blockbuster is actually something that Gene and it's also very close in our heart.
Yeah,
because we
that's
had one
true.
close to our house, maybe a 5-minute walk away, and I remember spending like Friday nights going to Blockbuster, walking down those aisles, and like looking at all those movie titles, and also the snacks at Blockbuster too.
Oh, yeah.
I was a candy fiend, a sour candy fiend, and it made me feel like I was at the movie theaters with just being at home.
And just the memory of being like, oh, I hope they have this movie. I hope it's available. I hope it's available.
The new release wall, remember?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it was iconic. And, what's really sad about the Blockbuster situation is that there's a lot of sad things. I wish we could have had a different outcome, but the perception is Blockbuster didn't keep up with technology. So false. 7 years before I arrived, in the year 2000, Blockbuster was partnering with Enron. Now, Enron had a whole different set of problems, but one thing they did have was bandwidth. They had acquired spectrum more than anyone else in the world. This would have been a beautiful partnership that would have dominated streaming had it been successful. So they were way ahead of their time. And even in 2007, when I arrived, the first thing I did was to buy a streaming video company from the studios. 5 of the 6 major studios created an entity called MovieLink. People forget this. So the case studies, even the Harvard case study, is actually quite wrong because it attributes Blockbuster's challenges to not keeping up with technology, and it completely misses the real learning. The best part of or the most important learning from the case study is cash management and managing the balance sheet. It's not keeping up with technology.
It really should be in the accounting course,
It
not
should
the,
be,
not the
exactly.
change management course.
Well, in the general management
General
course,
management,
because
yeah.
for any entrepreneur, cash flow is basically their oxygen.
Let's rewrite the case study.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, yeah, we actually could.
There you go. Tiger Sisters take on Harvard Business School.
I like that.
I like it too.
We also have another question about another company where you were at the helm at 7-Eleven. And so you helped steer 7-Eleven through its transition to full Japanese ownership. And you were leading across 2 cultures, which you talked about earlier. What did that teach you about humility and adaptability?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. And I spoke about it earlier. Cultural literacy was so important. I tried to learn a little Japanese. I'm not fluent by any means, but I learned enough. I'd characterize it as really good taxi cab Japanese. I can get
Hi.
around. Yeah.
Hi.
But that's an important word.
So.
That's such an important word, because many Americans in doing business with the Japanese come away with a really bad experience because they are looking at a very literal translation. And as you know, Chinese, Japanese, non-Latin based languages don't have a direct translation. So in Japanese, the response, hi, means I acknowledge you. It does not mean I agree with you. But in English, of course, yes implies a much stronger level of agreement. So you can be doing business with someone in Japan and they say, you're sitting in a meeting and you've worked on a contract and they say, hi, and it's interpreted by the interpreter as, yes, they agree. And then you walk in the next day and you're renegotiating the same point. An American often will look at that as an integrity issue. Not at all. It's a cultural difference and a language interpretation difference. So once you learn the language, even a little, of another country, you can help much, much better understand the uniqueness, those very different cultural elements that allow you to do business in a much more productive fashion. And that was one of my learnings from working with 7-Eleven Japan.
I love that. Do you have a Japan 7-Eleven favorite go-to snack
Oh,
from the konbini?
yeah. I mean, all over the world, they're fascinating. The unique thing about 7-Eleven is, unlike Starbucks or KFC, we don't have one menu. Instead, we were fortunate to partner many, many years ago with local licensees who would develop a very local products for their customers. So my favorite product in 7-Eleven Japan is a product called Onigiri.
Oh,
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I would
I
love
wanted to
it.
bring that to the United States so badly, and I'm shocked that they haven't yet.
No.
Because you could Americanize it. Americans, if you think about pizza, that's not Italian, what we have here. Domino's.
Yeah.
It's very different. We
Yeah.
Americanized it. Nor is the Taco Bell, right? That's not really like a Mexican taco. We Americanized it. I believe the opportunity is to Americanize onigiri and put inside, you could put barbecue beef, right? Why not? Toasted onigiri with barbecue beef on the inside would be delicious.
both sacrilegious and delicious.
Well, that is kind of comical because I presented this to my board, and I had a lot of Japanese members on the board, and I presented two product opportunities. I said, look, I'm going to have an American onigiri, and then I'm going to have an American bento. And the bento was, barbecue, coleslaw, some sausage. And they looked at me like, you idiot, don't you understand? A bento is fish and rice. And I was like, no, Americanize it. Anyway, I'm actually surprised that 7-Eleven hasn't yet done that in the U.S. because every country, in Taiwan, they have tea eggs, very popular in 7-Eleven. In Korea, they have kimbap, which is a Korean version of onigiri. There, they'll have kimchi inside of a rice ball. So Thailand has their own unique products, and everywhere in the world, when you go into 7-Eleven, in Sweden, they have some amazing breads that they bake right in the store,
Yeah.
but very localized, things that you probably wouldn't find here in the United States.
It's a cultural experience in and of itself to visit the 7-Elevens of the world.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. In fact, one of the things that you guys should come with me. We could do
I would love to.
Wouldn't that
Wait,
fun?
I
I
mean,
want to go shoot a video in every 7-Eleven.
we haven't mentioned that like when
Every
we
country.
go to Japan, like 60% of our meals are 7-Eleven.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're the onigiri, the tuna mayo onigiris.
Yeah.
That's my lunch, maybe my breakfast.
And the egg
Yeah.
sandwich
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
is so good. The bread there is just, but they have a different, I tried to copy their bread for the United States. We have a whole different set of laws here in the U.S. for food safety that that won't allow the same richness of butter content in the bread that makes it so soft in Japan.
Yeah.
What?
And the refrigeration requirements here in the United States are much more strict. So you can carry refrigerated products in Japan at, let's say 55 degrees, and I can't remember the actual numbers, but at a lot higher temperature. They're still chilled, but they're not. In the United States, we have to keep them at like between 35 and 40 degrees, and so that dries out the bread.
Cold chain management,
Cold chain is what it is.
man.
It is. Exactly. It is.
It'll get you every time.
It is. But it's also being able to work with local authorities to relax the standards if you can. For example, the reason that our standards are so strict is refrigeration wasn't over the years managed electronically. So you had to have some buffer there to
yeah.
protect the consumer. But when you
Yeah.
can electronically measure it and have someone dispatched immediately to correct it if the temperature falls below a certain threshold, then you could basically petition to allow a little higher refrigeration rate or level, which would end up producing a much higher quality product for the consumer. So all of these things are
Fascinating.
fixable.
That's why we can't have nice things. That's why we can't have onigiri at 7-Eleven in America.
And the
You
egg
will.
sandwiches.
One day you will.
Yeah.
They'll come.
Okay, so we're going to Japan. We have a lot of.
We're going to Japan with you, Jim.
Going to Japan with you.
I helped to bring 7-Eleven to Beijing
Yeah.
before the Olympics, the first Olympics.
Wow.
The Beijing government actually came to Dallas, Texas to ask us. Now, at the time, most companies were begging for the privilege of going to China. And we had already had stores in Hong Kong, and then, of course, across the border in Guangdong province and Shenzhen, but none in, the bulk of China. And so the Beijing government came to Dallas. We were shocked and said, we'd like 500 stores in time for the Olympics. This is like a year and a half before. And we said, that's probably impossible. And they were like, hold my beer. And they made it happen. I mean,
Wow.
it was pretty incredible. Yeah, it was a fascinating experience doing business.
Oh,
This is
wow.
early in China's new approach,
True.
you know. In fact, I remember doing business the first time and driving through Beijing and seeing more bicycles than cars. And then I'd go back 5 years later and cars are all Mercedes
Yeah.
and bikes are gone. You know, it's pretty amazing.
That's like an iconic time in history, in
Totally.
like business history.
It is. It is. It's been fascinating to watch.
So, Jim, you are 70 years young.
Oh,
Is this
gee.
correct?
Yeah, let's reword that.
All right. Let's just say.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, going on 12.
There you go. So you now invest in frontier sectors like space, advanced energy, AI, AR. How can older leaders today stay ahead of that curve?
I think that we have to all engage our inner child. In all seriousness, I've never grown up, and that can be a bad thing or a good thing. I'm probably very immature at times. Yeah, it can be a little embarrassing.
I mean, joyful.
Joyful,
And
yeah,
fun.
it's what it is. I have fun. But in all seriousness, I never lost that wide-eyed curiosity of a child. I never lost it. And I don't know why. I think it was just never beaten out of me. As in many cases, people will. They'll stifle that curiosity of children. And then creativity is another thing that I think allows me to engage that curiosity. It lets me get out and explore. So I paint and I sculpt and I write music and I do this other stuff. I'm never going to be any good at it, but again, it's intelligence having fun. And I think those things help me defy the normal conservatism that creeps in with age over time.
Maybe the point isn't to be good at it. Maybe the point is just in the process of doing.
I think you're exactly right, because it's in those things that are outside of your comfort zone. That's when learning really happens, and that's when the fun happens. As long as you can overcome that fear. There's no such thing as failure, and there's no such thing as bad when it comes to trying, something new.
And so for our viewers today, where can they find you online or social media? And Education is Freedom.
So, jameswkeys.com.
Yes.
They can also follow me on Instagram at jkeys, Jkeyes author. And I've got some fun clips out there, as you know, on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm also out there, of course, LinkedIn and other places. So I look forward to having your audience check it out.
Perfect.
So,
Yay.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was
Yay.
really fun. It's been a party.
So am I an official Tiger Brother yet?
Yes.
You are. And then as a thank you for being on our podcast, we have a little gift for you.
Oh, wow.
This is our matcha brand.
Oh, awesome.
And actually, I mean, since you've been to Japan so many times, I think you'll appreciate this. This is our brand. It's called Sisters Matcha.
I love it.
It's from a small family farm outside of Kyoto in the town of Wazuka next to Uji. And this is a farm that I've lived on for over a month, and Jean has worked and lived there as well. And it's family owned. It's my boss, the farmer, his wife, and they're like 4 full-time employees. So,
And this batch specifically, we actually went back at the end of May for harvest season, and we manually participated in harvesting this matcha, these leaves.
So I have a gift coming for you.
Oh,
I didn't think about it, but this triggered this thought.
yay.
amazing.
I've got one for you.
Yay.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.